This is You're Probably Right. Entertainment first, everything else is just bonus. Opinions, all ours. Sometimes backed by research, but never the final word. There are always exceptions, so take it with a grain of salt and a slight dusting of chili powder. If something in this episode resonates with you or you want to reach out directly, you can email the show at yprpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find the podcast on Facebook. Just search You're Probably Right podcast and the page should come up. And if you are listening somewhere other than Spotify, you can find the show there as well. Just search You're Probably Right and follow the podcast so new episodes show up automatically. All right, let's get into it.
Hey everyone, how you doing? This is MCM, aka Michael C. Murray, and I won't even. I was gonna say a joke about my name. Anyhow, check it out. This is gonna be a fun episode. It's gonna be where I get to actually delve into something that I created. Now, if you are the average person, the average intelligence, then you would probably agree that even though we are inundated and bombarded with different types of culture, pop culture, and all kinds of culture, that it's obvious that many of us will end up coming to the same conclusions in various ways. It's kind of like music where, you listen to a lot of music and then like if you're a musician and then you come up with a beat or you come up with a tune or something or even lyrics just to find out that someone actually came up with lyrics that are pretty close. So in saying that, I'm going to say that I was thinking about something, and a lot of my podcast episodes of late, I would say from 200 to now 320, what is this? 325, which there really is like 330 something because I didn't count the part twos and part threes and stuff like that. Um, most of it's been based around pain in relationships, hurt, withdrawal and push and pull and avoidance and anxiety, and other things. And a lot of it's been based around my life in some respects. Now, sometimes you can obviously guess who I was in the situations, and sometimes you can't. Anyhow, I alluded to it in my episode 323, where I was up for a few hours and I started just coming up with these. Like, it's not like I just came up with them because my mind has been kind of running over these things over almost a year now, maybe about 8 months. And anyhow, these topics are dear to my heart. And the reason why they're dear to my heart is because some of the patterns, some of the things that happened to me and crushed my heart. You know what I mean? And I just realized like the stuff, like I'm not saying I'm not special and I'm average. Maybe I'm less than average in various in various ways, and maybe above average in other ways. Um, but I just know that these things happen to other people. I'm not a big reader, although and you can tell by the way I read my podcast episodes that I'm not. But like I mean, I'm pretty sure I've read through the whole Bible a couple times. I mean, it's hard to say with numbers because numbers, if you've ever read the Bible, you should check it out. um, anyways, but I have been a movie buff. um, I love to have conversations and I like to answer questions that I have no idea how to answer. And I somehow wiggle my way through as I talk out the problems. And I like to listen to other people's problems and help them and stuff like that. Um, and I guess in my schooling, I went for helping social service work and also general arts and science before that, but that's a whole nother thing that I came out of high school years back. But it's just something that I gravitate to naturally. I think if you just keep doing something or you find something you want to do, even if you're not good necessarily by someone else's standards or metrics, that at some point If you keep doing it, you get better, you know? And I think after the 330 or whatever it is episodes of this podcast, which I checked it out. If I was doing a talk and I used one of these every week, it would take me approximately 6 months and 6 years and 3 or 4 months just to get through the whole catalog at this point. And yeah, so anyway, that's that, and that's what it is. And now I'm gonna get into it a little bit. Hopefully, have some fun with it. I like to do the questions and answers sometimes, just because I just like to pick my own brain, I guess. So it's funny. I grab the questions and I don't look at them until I'm going to present it on podcast and just see where my mind goes. And I understand that many times I'm probably way off, and if I am, you're probably right. As well as if I've actually thought it through properly and I think about things that I've learned and experienced, then I might be right. And that's hence I was gonna say the impetus. Uh, um, hence that's the way I got my title of this podcast. Before, as I alluded to on a podcast today that I'm not gonna put out, I'm gonna actually redo it. I tried to do a video podcast today, and the quality of the video that I shot and the words, I mean, sorry, and the words and the auto recording literally crashed my computer. So I think I just have too much stuff on my computer at this point. It's like I need a new computer to be able to even do something like that in any proper way. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do to a 325. No, I guess yeah, it'll be 325 over again. Good thing is that I actually went over I actually spoke over the script already, so it should be a really, really good one. But hopefully we're gonna have some fun here. Um I would say for this episode, if you could be alone, not distracted, maybe some dim lighting or maybe no lighting at all, close your eyes, that kind of thing, it might make more sense to you. And, I mean, it's a different experience. And it's funny that I'm even saying something like that, but I guess that's what my audio only podcast has come to after all this time. I guess you find new ways to do things. But I mean, only you would know if it works. Anyhow, before I go into anything further, I wanted to say that this episode, like all my other episodes, it's for entertainment purposes only. This is not a Christian podcast, but it is a podcast by a Christian. And a lot of it is just my own thoughts. I'm just talking things out. Sometimes not unlike you would do in a diary, memoirs or whatever it is. And so when I just talk through things or talk through concepts that I've heard about, learned about, listened to, and watched, and not all, I guess I've come up with my own stuff. So I just want to let you know that like it's just me talking. So please don't be offended. This is not to offend anybody in any way. This just happens to be my private thoughts that are public, simple and plain. Okay, and I'd like to also, because I didn't do it, welcome to my new listeners, my regular listeners, my hiding away in the corner listeners, those who are just listening to scrutinize and say bad things about me, or good things, or they just want to know how my mind works. Either way, welcome, and here we go. Before I go any further, though, I want to introduce you to the framework that is already starting to take shape in this podcast. You can hear pieces of it in episode 323 and 324. So I'm going to, just for the joke of it, call this episode maybe, I don't know how, somehow I have to tie it to 323. I was going to say, I can't call it 323 and a half because it came before, and I don't want to call it 322 and a half because it has nothing to do with 320. I got to figure out how to wiggle that one so it attaches itself kind of with it. Anyhow, this is not something I pulled from a textbook or borrowed from the internet. It is my own framework. Yeah, that's right, my own. Built through reflections, observations. I tried to make it practical things in the world, so hopefully that works. And the long work of trying to understand how pain, my pain, other people's pain, shapes the way we love. So here we go. Sorry, I just gotta get rid of this thing. It's gonna bother me. So I wonder who's in their car today. I wonder who's walking on the sidewalk. People watching the mall. Ready to sleep, can't sleep, and here listening. Or on their way to work or home from work. Washing some dishes or doing some laundry. Maybe you're sewing or cutting the grass. Some good speakers. Some yard work or whatever. And yeah, the title of this episode is episode 325. Oh my goodness. 325. Oh yeah, this is 325. So the other one's gonna be 326, I guess. Actually, no. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. I'm gonna change I gotta find a number somewhere in between 322 and 323 and 324, somewhere in there. Anyway, how heartbreak shapes 10 surprising relationship patterns. For those of you who are left. All right. Welcome to You're Probably Right. I'm MCM. And today we're sitting in that quiet mental theater again, where the lights are dim and only the sound of maybe my voice and the music possibly in the air. Maybe it's in your mind's eye, a hum of a film projector. On the screen are your memories of loving and being hurt. Maybe you trusted someone only to have them vanish. Maybe you pursued someone who never chose you back. Maybe you gave and gave, hoping gifts would securely somehow give you some loyalty. If you've ever wondered why people behave this way, why they send mixed signals, why they disappear after getting close, or why they chase you hard and then go cold, then I'm assuming this episode is for you. The central question is simply, how does relational pain reshape behavior into patterns? And what happens when those adaptations go unexamined? We're going to walk you through 10 specific patterns. The Vanisher, the window shopper, the magnet, the collector, I swear there's 11. We're counting them again. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh. All right, whatever. Anyhow, the Vanisher, the window shopper, the magnet, the collector, the sports fisher, the Tenderheart, the closed book, the purchaser, the chameleon, and the Armour Bearer. Now, you will notice that there are overlap in a few of these, and that's why they ended up in to like pattern families in the actual episode of 323. You'll hear why they emerge, how they look in real life, and what they do to the people who love them. By the end, I hope you'll have compassion for others and courage to examine your own adaptations. The Vanisher, number 1. Imagine someone who laughs at your jokes, shares secrets late at night, and texts you every morning. Everything feels real until one day they start replying slower. They're busy. They're vague. They somehow fell asleep on you. They disappear. This is the Vanisher. The Vanisher is the person who disappears emotionally or physically before they can be fully known, held, or left. They can flirt, text, share stories. But once the connection becomes deep, they start slipping away. From the outside, it feels cruel or cowardly. Underneath, the Vanisher often learned that being fully known is dangerous. Maybe they were mocked when they were opening up to people or betrayed after they trusted. So when intimacy deepens, their nervous system reads it as exposure, not safety. The hidden logic is better to leave before I need you. Better to withdraw before you can leave me. To the person left behind, it creates confusion, self-doubt, obsession, for sure. They replay every conversation, wondering if they said too much or needed too much. There's no closure, just emotional evaporation. The tragedy is that the relationship often dies not because there was no potential, but because the Vanisher couldn't tolerate the vulnerability that potential required. Number 2, the window shopper. Now picture someone who loves the atmosphere of connection. They talk late into the night. They like being wanted. They enjoy chemistry. They even hint that something could become something. But when it is time to commit to that something, define or invest, they step back. They are the window shopper. The window shopper enjoys warmth, attention, and romantic possibility, but never really buys in. They browse, they love, they sample, like one at Costco. Entertain love, but they don't purchase responsibility. They often, because buying in feels dangerous and costly, obviously, really choose someone means giving up alternatives, becoming accountable, and letting someone matter enough that Losing them would hurt. If you've ever given everything and gotten little back, watched commitments fail in your family, or being rejected after investing deeply, you might find yourself living in romantic preview mode. In real life, the window shopper may say all the right things, spend real time with you, and even seem emotionally intelligent. But there is always a missing step. They don't define the relationship. They don't make concrete movement. And they don't enjoy momentum more than decision because they're not completely cold. You keep thinking maybe they just need time. But sometimes patience is just how you stay available to someone who likes the view from the store window, but never intends to enter. The result is emotional layaway. You invest feelings into a connection that remains intentionally undefined. You keep hoping your sincerity will be matched with choice. But the window shopper keeps taking benefits while delaying obligation. Number 3, the magnet. Imagine someone who pulls you in like gravity. They are charismatic, attentive, validating, and maybe even vulnerable early on. You feel chosen, desired, underneath, understood. But once you're in orbit, something shifts. The magnet pulls people in strongly, but often doesn't carry equal emotional weight, clarity, or intention. Pain can shape this pattern when someone learns that being desired is safer than being vulnerable. If you feel powerless or overlooked, or if you have in your past relationships, learning to create desire can become a survival mechanism. Making people want you restores a sense of control. But sustaining love is different. It requires patience, consistency, sacrifice, and the ability to stay when the novelty fades. In real life, the magnet might come on strong, initiate deeply, flirt with unusual confidence, and share enough vulnerability to create fast closeness. But over time, you notice the emotional weight is not equal. You're carrying the wonder, you're carrying the wondering, the hope, the waiting. The imbalance can leave you trying to reconcile two realities. Was it real or just performance? Attraction and intention are not the same thing. Being able to stir desire isn't the same thing as being able to sustain love. When the magnets don't examine this pattern, they keep producing strong openings that others have to recover from. Number 4, the collector. Picture a person who never likes to stand in an empty room. They keep names in their phone, unresolved connections, old flames still watching. They enjoy knowing there are doors they can reopen. This is the collector. The collector keeps people as options, backups, admirers, or often emotional inventory. They rarely date everyone in their collection. Sometimes the collection is emotional, not physical. Why? Because scarcity creates hoarding. If you've experienced deep abandonment, rejection, betrayal, or prolonged insecurity, you might stop trusting that love will be there when you need it. Instead of learning security, you build inventory. You keep people nearby so you never have to feel unwanted for too long. You keep options so you don't have to sit in terror of having none. You keep admirers because admiration becomes a painkiller for you. In real life, the collector often doesn't like making clean cuts. They still entertain past partners, respond to flirtation that should be shut down for one reason or another, and keep ambiguous friendships alive. To their current partner, this creates insecurity. You never fully feel chosen. You feel like part of them is still curating a shelf of alternatives. This atmosphere becomes unstable even without obvious misconduct. Sorry. The sad truth is that the collectors are really collecting, and what they're really collecting is relief. Relief from emptiness. Relief from not feeling chosen. Yeah. But because they haven't healed, they make other people feel like one item among many and not special at all. Number 5, the sports fisher. Imagine a person who seems very invested at first. They message first, plan dates, compliment hard, show up strong, study your likes, and make you feel like they are serious. They look focused, certain, hungry. So much so that the whole connection feels meaningful. But after the catch, something drops. Their energy declines. The sports fisher enjoys the chase and the catch more than the responsibility of keeping what he pursued or what she pursued. What they really love is the pursuit itself. The uncertainty of a catch, the game, the challenge, the ego, confirmation, the adrenaline of winning over someone. Once the chase becomes stewardship, though, their interest declines. Pain often creates this pattern because pursuit allows control while commitment requires character. If you were hurt in a relationship where you felt powerless or not even enough, the chase can become a way to restore your sense of value. Winning attention proves you still have value. Building a relationship asks for something different: patience, consistency, sacrifice, skills that pain can stunt. In real life, the sports fisher often looks amazing at the front end. This is why people get fooled. They mistake effort during pursuit for evidence of future safety, future goodness. But some people will cross oceans to get what they are not willing to walk across the room to keep. Once the relationship settles, once access is granted, once the uncertainty is gone, the sports fisher becomes less attentive, curious, and intentional. They may still like you, maybe even care, but the emotional voltage was tied to pursuit, not partnership. For the person on the receiving end, it feels like being tricked by sincerity. The beginning looked like devotion. So when the effort fades, you wonder what changed about you. And that question cuts very deep. It can teach you to distrust strong pursuit, or even to become less available in the future relationships because you learn that being one reduces your value. Yeah. Next, number 6, Tenderheart. Tenderheart is perhaps the most misunderstood pattern because it looks soft rather than cold. Imagine someone who is genuine, affectionate, emotionally present, and open to connection. They believe in love, but their wounds are just beneath the surface. Delayed texting feels like rejection. Minor inconsistencies feel like betrayal. A hard conversation reopens old abandonment. A misunderstood moment triggers shame. That's older than the current relationship. Tenderheart is the person who is still open to love but easily bruised because old pain is still active and still alive. They did not stop loving after pain, but they also did not fully heal before loving again. Tenderhearts are not trying to use people. Many of them are among the most loving people, but love is costly when old injuries have fresh nerve endings. They can be earnest, but hyperreactive. They can care deeply, but get discouraged quickly. They want reassurance more often than the other person may understand. What does this do to the other person? It creates a feeling of emotional fragility in the relationship. The partner may feel pressure to constantly reassure, clarify, soften things. If they are not emotionally mature, they may become impatient, which only deepens Tenderheart's pain. Tenderheart often attracts either very healing people or very harmful people. Healing people understand that softness needs steadiness. Harmful people exploit wounded openness. That is why Tenderheart needs healing. Not because being soft is wrong, but because pain makes openness too vulnerable to the wrong hands. Next, number 7. The closed book. Imagine someone who goes on dates, laughs at jokes, maybe even engages in physical intimacy. But there's an invisible wall. No matter how patient, safe, or loving you are, they never really open. This is the closed book. The closed book is a person who has emotionally stepped out of love and decided never again. It's not just guardedness. Somewhere in their story, hope got humiliated, trust got buried, tenderness got punished. They concluded that deep love is not worth the cost. They may still date and talk and enjoy companionship, tongue-tied, but in the deepest sense, they are no longer available to be reached. This pattern often comes from not just heartbreak, but delusionment, betrayal with humiliation, sacrifice with no reciprocation, loyalty answered with disrespect, giving years and leaving empty, being sincere with someone who used sincerity against you. Those experiences don't just hurt, they rearrange belief. In real life, the closed book can be hard to identify because many of them are charming, funny, kind, and socially smooth. The issue is not whether they can interact, it's whether there is any real door left open behind the interaction. What does this do to the other person? Obviously, it's destabilizing. You might mistake emotional unavailability for mystery, depth, or hidden hurt. You can heal. You think, if I'm patient enough, safe enough, loving enough, maybe they'll open. That hope traps a lot of people. That closed book is often not waiting for the right person. They're protecting a settled conclusion. Unless they decided to challenge that conclusion, no amount of goodness can love them openly. You end up pouring into a vault. You keep knocking on a door that isn't locked because of you, but it still won't open. Number 8, the purchaser. Imagine someone who buys gifts, pays bills, solves problems, showers you with generosity. You might feel flattered at first, but gradually you sense that every gift carries an invoice. Every act of help carries emotional weight. This is the purchaser. The purchaser is the person who tries to secure love, loyalty, access, and emotional safety through money, gifts, rescue, provision. Generosity itself isn't the problem. The issue is when giving becomes a strategy to secure what cannot be safely received relationally. The purchaser often learned that love is unstable unless they are useful. Maybe they grew up feeling emotionally unseen by their parents or friends. Maybe they had a bad relationship, but materially managed. Maybe affection came only when they performed, provided, fixed, paid, or rescued. Pain teaches them, if I can't trust love freely, I will anchor it with a transaction. In real life, this looks like overgiving clearly and early, paying too much too soon, buying access, funding lifestyles, solving crisis immediately, showering gifts on someone who they barely know. In the long term relationships, it can look like expecting that practical sacrifice should automatically produce emotional closeness. The hidden belief is, if I give enough, you'll stay. If I solve enough, you'll need me. If I provide enough, you will not leave. The pain becomes complicated because sometimes the purchaser truly is generous, but because their giving is mixed with fear, it creates distortion. They may expect emotional outcomes that gifts cannot produce. They may feel entitled to intimacy because they invested materially, or they may attract opportunities or opportunists who take benefits without offering love at all and know what they're doing. For the other person, it creates pressure. They stop feeling freely loved and start feeling purchased. It can attract people who sense this person will overgive to feel secure. The purchaser ends up repeating their original wound. They give more and more, hoping to finally secure what still isn't freely given. Underneath is the painful fear. If I show up as just myself, I will still be here, but will I still be enough? Number 9, the chameleon. Imagine someone who seems almost too perfect of a fit. They share your favorite book, mirror your interests, laugh at the same jokes, and agree with your views. It feels amazing at first, but over time you notice something. They rarely ever express a preference of their own. Rarely disagree with you. Rarely set a boundary. This is the chameleon. The chameleon reshapes themselves to fit what the other person seems to want. You remember the movie Coming to America? And Prince Hakeem, if you watch the movie, maybe check it out online. Maybe you'll know what I'm talking about. But he goes, I can't remember what it was. It was like, what kind of music do you like? She's like, whatever music you like. What do you like to do? Whatever you like. It was just, she just kept saying it. And he's like, bark like a dog. And she's like, "Urf, urf." She was just doing whatever and agreeing to whatever. And that annoyed him. And I think it would annoy a lot of people if they knew that was actually happening. Although I guess there are people who are that self-centered and insecure that they would love somebody just to do their bidding and love everything they love. But there's nothing real in that. But anyway, I digress. They adapt fast. They read the room, listen for preferences, remember, probably write things down, put them in their phone or whatever device. Value style, humor, beliefs, and then become a more compatible version of themselves. It's not always conscious, though. It's not always conscious deception. Sometimes it's survival. Sometimes it's longing. Sometimes it's fear of losing connection. Pain often shapes this pattern through rejection. If being yourself led to criticism, abandonment, exclusion, disapproval, teasing, bullying, sometimes you become sensitive to what keeps people close. You stop asking, who am I with this person? And start asking, who do I need to be so this person won't leave me? In real life, the chameleon may mirror your interests unusually fast. They seem too aligned, too agreeable, too flexible, too eager to fit. They suppress real preference, conflict, discomfort, or boundaries because they're trying to preserve connection. At first, it feels like a soul match. Wow, you like jubes too? Wow, they really get me. But eventually, the costs show up because the chameleon becomes resentful, exhausted, or unclear even to themselves. They don't know if they're coming or going, what's truly theirs anymore. They've been performing compatibility for so long that they've lost touch with the person underneath. For the other person, it creates false intimacy. You're going to believe everything was amazing. You believed you were bonding with this real person when you're bonding with an adaptation version. Later, when the chameleon's hidden needs surface and shock you, when suppressed boundaries finally emerge and when resentment leaks out, the relationship feels confusing. The chameleon often attracts controlling people because controlling people love easy adaptations. Usually they're not fake, they're just scared. Scared that if the mask drops, love drops with it. Number 10, the Armour Bearer. Finally, the Armour Bearer. Imagine someone who stays. They date, they marry, they remain physically present for years. They are reliable in practical ways. They pay bills, help with chores, and show up at events. But emotionally, they're armor. You can't quite get in. This is the Armour Bearer. The Armour Bearer stays guarded, protected, and defends at all times, treating vulnerability like danger, even when love is real. They don't disappear like the Vanisher or shut down like the closed book. They remain, but emotionally, they're all suited up. Their posture is protection. They filter what they say, manage what they reveal, brace during conflict, assume emotional exposure could be used against them later. They may be skeptical of softness, suspicious of need, uncomfortable with dependence, and resistant to anything that makes them feel emotionally uncovered. Pain shapes this pattern when vulnerability has previously led to injury. Maybe their openness was used against them in arguments, private confessions, became public humiliation, or tenderness was unsafe, mocked or ignored. So now even healthy closeness registers as a possible threat. The armor becomes identity. They call it strength, wisdom, or not being naive. But armor doesn't only block attack, it also blocks intimacy and love. In reality, the armor bearer may seem reliable in practical ways, but unreachable in emotional ways. They avoid saying what they really feel until resentment builds up. And then they blast you. Not always, they keep parts of themselves inaccessible, even in long-term relationships. Years. They respond to vulnerability with analysis, humor, silence, distraction, or defensiveness rather than openness. They may love you. Yeah, they might. But they never fully let you touch the part of them that most needs love. If anything, you have to trick them into it, if you can. For the other person, it feels like standing at a gate perpetually outside. Over time, they may become lonely, frustrated, emotionally deprived, or self-doubting. They may start working too hard to prove safety, or they may grow cold themselves and look elsewhere. The armor bearer thinks their armor is preventing future hurt, but often it quietly manufactures it on its own. When vulnerability is treated like danger all the time, even genuine love cannot breathe properly. As we step back from these 10 patterns, what ties them all together isn't just selfishness. It's adaptation, pain found a way to keep operating after the original relationship ended. It changed behavior, expectations, tolerance for intimacy because it was never fully faced. It became relational. Too many people keep loving from adaptation instead of healing, and the next person pays the price. Here's the hard part. Sometimes you're not only the person getting hurt by someone else's adaptation, you're also the one bringing your own. It's easy to listen to this and think of those who wounded you. But it's also worth asking, what did pain make me become? Did it make me suspicious of sincere people? Hide when things got real? Overgive to feel secure? Shapeshift to be lovable? Emotionally retire while still wanting companionship? Or call armor wisdom when it was really just fear? Healing isn't just about identifying who hurt you, it's about identifying what that hurt taught you to become. Not every lesson pain teaches is true. Pain will tell you everybody leaves. Needing someone is weakness. Full honesty is dangerous. If you're chosen today, you'll be discarded tomorrow. Control is safety, options are security. Distance is maturity. Pain teaches a lot of things, but pain is not always telling the truth. Real healing begins when you stop organizing your love around your wounds. It doesn't mean becoming naive. It means learning the difference between wisdom and fear with better branding. Wisdom says, I move slower now. Fear says, nobody gets close. Wisdom says, I pay attention to consistency. Fear says, I will never need anyone again. Wisdom says, I know my value. Fear says, I will buy love so I never have to wonder if I matter. So what can you do? Start noticing what your pain rewards and what it avoids. Start noticing who scares you more than it should, or what. Start noticing whether your current way of loving is creating the loneliness you're trying to avoid. Some people aren't unlucky in love, they're repetitive in love. Different faces, same wounds, same defense, same result, but the patterns can be interrupted. You are not doomed to keep becoming whatever hurt you. The Vanisher can learn to stay, the window shopper can learn to choose, the magnet can learn to carry what they awaken, the collector can live without emotional inventory, the sports fisher can learn stewardship, Tenderheart can become open and steady, the closed book can grieve honestly enough to reopen, the purchaser can learn that they are worthy apart from what they provide. The chameleon can recover themselves. The armor bearer can discover that vulnerability is not the same as surrendering to danger. None of that happens by accident. It happens when we stop romanticizing adaptation and start telling the truth about it. It happens when we stop calling every defensive thing we do maturity. It happens when we stop asking, how do I avoid pain forever? You gotta let that sunshine in. And sometimes it's gonna be cold. Sometimes it's gonna be too hot, and sometimes it's gonna be too cold. Sometimes it's going to rain too much. You got to let it. Remember, pain reminds us that we're alive. Now, I'm not saying become a glutton for punishment or anything, but you got to start asking, how do I love without making my old pain somebody else's burden? Let me leave you with one more scene in the dark room. The projector is flickering with all the times you vanished, kept options open, pulled people in and let them fall, hoarded admirers, chased and dropped, bruised easily, shut the book, bought love, shaped, shifted, and wore armor and gave till you couldn't give anymore. The person sitting beside you doesn't flinch. They see your adaptations and understand why they formed. They say, this made sense then. But you don't have to live like that now. For me, that person is Christ. For you, maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you need a therapist, a friend, or a wiser future self. I know that Jesus is the answer, but you're only going to find that out if you open a book called the Bible. Anyhow, until next time, when I will tell you what happens when love appears. Actually, that will be 325. This one, I'm not even going to number it. There you go. There you go. Smart guy. Thanks for spending this time with me. If any of these patterns felt uncomfortably familiar, whether in someone else or in yourself, don't just name them. Follow them back and ask what pain taught them, what fear maintained in them, and what they cost the people who love them. Follow them back and ask, what can I do now? Ask whether protecting the wound has quietly become more important than building real love. The goal isn't to be more impossible to hurt. It's so to be honest, healed, and self-aware enough that you stop turning yesterday's pain into tomorrow's relationship pattern. Anyhow, y'all, this is You're Probably Right, and I am MCM, Michael C. Murray. Until next time, may your relationships be honest and your heart be free and open. All right, take care, y'all. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 ducks. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.